What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Combat Corporation, your source for combat sports. I'm your host, Al the Postmaster Morrow, and today I have a gear review on the Superare 1 Series Super Gel Training Gloves. Alright folks, as always, I'm incredibly excited to bring you yet another gear review, as today I have the Superare 1 Series Super Gel Training Gloves. And I'm really excited for this video because I haven't been in front of the camera for about a month. If you've been following the social media pages, you know that I had a fight this last weekend on September 11th. And if you continue to follow, you know that I won by 3rd round TKO. So I just want to say thank you all to everyone that supported me through it. The only reason why I was away from the channel for so long is because it's the first time I really put 110% of my effort and focus into a fight. Before I fought in college, and I was really not focused on it. I just did it for fun. I won some, I lost some, but this last weekend, you know, not to brag myself, I really dominated the fight, and I was in great shape. I wasn't breathing heavy or anything. I might look fat, I know I am, but I was in great shape. I wasn't breathing heavy. I felt strong. I was sharp. And I just wanted to put all of my effort into that. But now that I know how to do that and then do this at the same time, I promise I won't do that. But I was really happy to see all the outreach that I got for the fight. But I've been reading your comments. I've been keeping up with everything. I respond to everything still, even the glove counseling over Instagram and Facebook. And one of the biggest requests I got were by Superare, a few gloves by Superare, but the one that I saw a little bit more of was the Superare 1 Series Gel Training Gloves. And I'm really excited to do this review because Superare is a super awesome company. Now, actually the name Superare, as you see across, that's how we would pronounce it here in the States, but it's actually Italian, and you would pronounce it Superare. And basically, I only know that because my family is Italian, and I probably still pronounce it wrong. And I took 2 courses of Italian throughout college, so I understand enough to kind of say hello, goodbye, in a few keywords here or there. And Superare means to overcome. And that is Superare's, I'm just gonna say it that way, that is Superare's slogan is to overcome. So you kind of pick the gear that helps you overcome and practice and all these other things. And they are a fight goods shop. And that's something I really always wish I could do. But I tell you what, when I saw Superare, I said, man, I don't know how people can compete with this, because there's really only a few stores in the world that I know of. There's Superare MSM Fight Shop, that's down in Florida. There's Box Up Nation in Texas. I see a lot of people are with them now. And then Fight Store Pro, which is in the UK. And the cool thing is about each and every one of those stores is that if you reach out to them of any way, especially Superare, because I've dealt with them the most, they have the best customer service I've ever seen. If you have any questions, and I truly believe this, they can answer it way better than I can, and that's because they have a bit more experience in this than I do, as far as telling you what gloves are like and what they're made of and all those other things. And because they've used them. Everything that they have, they use. Their staff is not just people that decided, oh, I'm going to go work sales at a combat sports stop. No, they fight. They compete. They train every day. And that's why I take their opinion a bit more seriously than I would someone that maybe just is over a phone line, you know, working in the sales department of, say, like Ringside or something like that. As much as I love Ringside, you know, like at the end of the day, they're like, oh, our product's great for this and that, blah, blah, blah. You know, whereas Superare is like, well, you know, this glove isn't as good for you because maybe it's this body type versus this body type. Usually people your size try something like this. And that's why I really started to learn more about gloves a lot because of Superare and gloves like and companies like that. And then I started doing my own research and collecting a lot more. But I can tell you a lot of the gloves that I have in here are bought by Superare. I always buy stuff, like say if they have a pair of gloves that I can get through the main company compared to buying it at Superare, I'll buy it at Superare because I like supporting their company. It might cost a little bit more, right? And it might cost a bit more to ship, but at the end of the day, you're paying that for the experience and the quality that you're going to get. They have the best customer service out of anyone I've ever met. They started in 2011. And I'd like to say they used to be called the New York City Fight Shop, but I could be wrong. But they have 2 locations, one in New York City, which I visit at least once a year. It's very, very easy to go in there and thinking, oh, it's a small shop, and then spend about $400 or more, because I know I have every single time. And they started in 2011, and like I said, they have a New York City and a Los Angeles site. So you might get shipped out from either. I think these were shipped out from the New York site. But you go in and you can buy these. And they started making their own stuff, I want to say about 3 or 4 years ago. And the first pair of gloves I bought was the gold. I want to say they were called the Ace. Maybe they were the Ace Golds or something like that. And then there was or maybe the Aces were the 1 series, the 1 blacks. But I want to say maybe the Golds were the Ace Golds. And they were like the first model run of what they had of the Superare glove model. And it was really cool. It was gold. It looked awesome. And then over the past couple years, they've got like a lot more out there now. They have like the Italian model, which looks really, really cool. I really want to get a hand of a pair of those. So if anyone from Superare is watching this, I'm reviewing your stuff. Give me it. No, I'm kidding. But, you know, when I saw these, and they also did the Fry, which is a leather company. I think they make shoes and stuff. They did the collaboration with that. So I bought that model and that set too. And those are excellent gloves. Everything Superare makes is actually pretty good, and they look cool too. But I'll stop talking about everything like that and go into the actual look of the glove. And as always, I'll tell you exactly what model I have. I have the 16-ounce Velcro closure, gold and black colorway. You can also get a silver and black colorway, and I believe you can get them anywhere from 12 to 16 ounces. If not, it goes like 12 and then 16, and it skips 14. And I want to say they do have a lace-up model of this glove, but I could be wrong, but I swear I've seen one person have a lace-up model of this. They do have lace-ups for like their Italian model and stuff like that. I could be thinking of that. But these gloves are really cool looking. You know, first off, I don't even talk about the gold on the back. I talk about the lettering here, the Superare lettering. It looks like an old school Marvel comic to me. And it pops out. It's something so simple, but I tell you what, when you see this like across a gym, it just looks cool. It's like, oh, that's a cool looking logo. You can see it. And then the gold, of course, shines and pops out there. In fact, it distracts your partners when you spar with them because of how shiny they are. Of course, it's a joke, but you got the gold fist cover on the back. Wow, yeah, fist cover. The punch area, the punching surface, all the way here up till the fingertips as well. And it's all gold on the back, and on the thumb you have a black and gold mesh here as well. So you got a two-tone thumb here. You got the black and then the gold down here. Then the rest of the glove is black. You got a black palm, black inner thumb, and right down to the cuff that says Superare New York City. So it even says New York City at the bottom. So this might have come from the New York City, but I swear it said it was shipping from LA when I got it. So that's a really cool, it's a rubberized logo, which is cool. And they even detail that on that. The inside is also black as well as the Velcro, everything. And you can also see a little tag that says 16 ounce made in Pakistan, okay? So let's go into the make of the glove, like the design and everything, and start out with the outer shell. First off, it's actually a pretty soft and supple leather for me, especially after you break it in. It's a 100% buffalo grain buffalo hide grain leather, and it's very, very good to feel. It's very, like I said, kind of a soft leather, especially after you break it in. It's very, very soft, very supple, especially on the thumb down here. It's super, super soft around the wrist and everything. The black leather is a little bit more soft because, you know, you don't have the metallic paint on it. The metallic paint, you can smell a little bit, you know, obviously it's going to be there, but I tell you what, everywhere else on the glove, and even where the metallic paint is, it just smells like a brand new leather shoe. So it's still a really, really high quality shell that you're dealing with on the outside here. So that's always a good quality to have when you have for that. So it's nice that Superare got into like really high quality outer shells. The one thing about the metallic paint though, however, and this has happened with a few other Superare gloves that I've seen, is that the gold paint kind of wears off, and you can actually see just a touch of that happening on the thumb here. It's wearing off a little bit, but it's not anything noticeable. Like I said, if you just take care of your gloves, you know, wipe them off, keep the bacteria off them, it'll last a lot longer. But I know someone that I gave a pair of gloves to a friend of mine that used the Superare all gold gloves, and they are more of a bronze color now. They're pretty worn out. But you know, besides that, they're still a great glove. And then you go into the actual inside, the padding of the glove is an IMF Tech foam, so it's ringside foam, and then you have a gel core on the inside. So it stabilizes your hand really well, and the padding, after you break it in, is very, very soft. It kind of feels like if you were basically to put like a winning gel knuckle guard on the inside of foam, it's virtually what you get. And the IMF Tech stays in one shape, and so it's all one solid piece of foam. And they separated the thumb, you can tell, because of, or they stitched this part on separate because there's a split thumb here. So the thumb has pretty decent free range of motion, and it's in a really nice spot. The grip bar is really soft, but it's kind of farther back than most other grip bars would be. And then you also got the mesh up towards the top of the palm here, if I can pull that back far enough to see that. So you got good breathability with that. The knuckle support's good. I would classify these more of like a defensive glove because kind of how big they are and because of how big and rounded they are, and you can really like smash your hands as hard as you want and you're not going to feel a whole lot going through these gloves. They're very, very comfortable, they're very supportive, and they have good enough size to not, you know, keep your hand tight where it's going to be too compressed and break it and stuff like that. Then we go to the wrist support, and we got the 3 bars here. They're like, it feels like a gel as well, honestly, but it's probably, if I had to guess, it's more of a high density foam, really just packed in there, but it does feel kind of like a gel on the bottom, and that's kind of to stabilize your wrist from pulling back like this. The front of the glove is double stitched all the way throughout the palm, and then when we turn around, it's primarily single stitched until we get to the wrist strap, which is, like I said, a rubberized logo here. It's a raised rubber and it feels pretty good, and honestly it doesn't irritate. You know, I was worried about that at first, but when it rubs against your skin, it's actually not irritating at all. It just kind of feels like the leather of the glove. So that's really not all that bad. When we go into the inside, you have a really nice mesh here. It's a nice stretchy, you can see how stretchy. It's not really so baggy as it is just stretchy material on the inside here, and it's a nice soft nylon lining rather. It just feels like that. I always say the term dry fit pillow, but in this case, it feels like you have spats on the inside of your glove. So it's comfortable. It feels like it really is form fitting, and it also has the elastic band right here, so you don't have to worry about the glove fanning out. So it's very comfortable. It's a very soft interior lining. The only thing is I also have bigger hands than most people. I wish there was a touch more room on the inside of the hand compartment. But besides that, it's really not that bad. And that you gotta understand is that these gloves have a lot, it's like thick padding. It's a solid 2.5 inches of padding here with the gel. So your hands are gonna feel protected. I can feel my knuckles like a little bit, but when I say a little bit, it's more I can just kind of feel the outline of where they are. I can't like actually push through and be like, oh, there's my knuckle, oh great. No, they don't sink in like that. The gel padding protects it very well. But the one thing I will say is that the wrist support is a little weird because usually with these braces, you'd think it would help, you know, kind of bring it back. And it helps, and it prevents it from like folding back too much like that. I'm kind of forcing myself to do this here. The only thing I don't like about these is that, like, you know, some gloves try really hard to put you in that natural punch position, and my knuckles are lined up right where they're supposed to be. The only thing is you can see I'm not doing this. It's just curving my whole hand down. So it's kind of a top heavy glove. It's very light down here. It's very heavy up here. But you know what? It's still not bad. The thumb, it's definitely more of a boxing glove. I would not say you can really get good grips for like a tie situation. It's very stiff in that area, so if you like parrying, it may not be the best option for you in that department, but the thumb is very supportive. There's no way that this could ever smash because it comes right back behind the knuckle, so it's going to be very good to protect your thumb here. So that's always a solid plus if you always tend to smash your thumbs or break your thumbs before everything else. Trust me, I've met tons of people that do that. But it feels good and supportive. The inside, because of that, like that spat feel, your hand sweats a little bit, but you know what? It's gonna happen anyway. It's not a big deal. It's not an uncomfortable glove. And the wrist support is pretty good. And the gel down here also supports it. I just would tell people to be careful if you tend to like curve your wrist too much when you throw hooks. I can very easily see someone curve their wrist like this. You know what I mean? I always tell people if my wrist is curving, You know, in a Velcro sense, would I really want my wrist to be supported by something that can do this rather easily, right? So it is very much a top-heavy glove, and you can tell that because it goes back and forth really easy. It doesn't come back so much, like I said, because these 3 points help stop it. It's kind of like a turtle shell, whereas going forward, you know, so you gotta be careful a little bit with the wrist support on this glove. But besides that, I mean, it's a really outstanding glove as far as that goes. The quality is very good, the leather's very good, the padding's very good. It's not very good for like MMA, Muay Thai. It's very good for boxing. But you know, let's go into the bag work and the sparring view so you can see these gloves in action and get my feel of the gloves when we get on there. So when you hit the bag with the Superare Supergel training gloves, the only word that comes to mind is just power and accuracy. I guess it's 2 words, but I really love hitting the bag with these just because every time I hit, I definitely feel like I'm making really solid contact, even though I don't feel a whole lot through the knuckles, but I definitely get enough feedback to where I know I'm sinking these shots in perfectly. They're good for really hard power punchers. They're pretty light gloves, and you can have a lot of fun hitting the bag with these. So you can see the big comic book looking Superare logo right off the bat, all in the big text, and that gold just pops right out at you. That's one thing I love about these gloves, is that they're basic but fancy at the same time. They pop out across the gym. I mean, literally, I had one of my teammates try these out a few weeks ago, and it was just really cool to see these across the gym. You're going to enjoy getting punched by these gold standards by Superare, especially with that comic book look to it. All right, folks, my final verdict for the Superare 1 Series Supergel training gloves. That is a mouthful, and that's my 5th time trying to do that, so bear with me, is I really enjoy these gloves. I think they're an awesome pair of gloves, and I would recommend them to a lot of people, but there are some things that I wish Superare might fix, or that I noticed when I was reviewing these gloves or when I was using these gloves. First off, they were made in Pakistan, which usually, and no, I don't have an issue with that. What I'm saying is Pakistan-made gloves are usually very well made, but they're often very similar to other companies out there. Namely, we got the Ringside Gel Shock right here next to the Superare Supergels. And you can see some similarities. Obviously, there's a big difference in the contour of the glove. This is a little shorter and it's a flatter punch surface. This is very much more of a rounded glove. But you can see this is also, you know, it has the IMF Tech foam, which Ringside made and coined. And then they also have the gel lining, the gel core on the inside to protect your knuckles. And it's the same thing. You also have the same like turtle shell type wrist support here. And you also have the same contour of the thumb a little bit. You know, definitely this thumb is a bit wider. I'm just comparing these so you can see some of the differences. And the leather on the outside of the Ringside is not nearly as good as the leather that you got with this one. This is definitely the better glove out of the two, but they are pretty similar. The idea of that is a lot of companies in Pakistan, or a lot of companies get manufactured in Pakistan, and basically what happens is they, you know, long story short, is other companies will reach out and say, hey, if you have anything left over, can I put my logo on it and send it out? And that's basically what people do. That's not what Superare did. At least I don't think. I don't know. I'm not in the position to say that, but I can definitely tell you that they didn't do that because it's a completely different glove as far as like the shape and the build goes. The leather is much more of a higher quality. The gel and the layered foam, or the IMF Tech foam rather, is laid out a lot more different than say the Ringside glove here. But like I said, this is not a cheaply made glove. It's just not. Everything about the glove is actually a lot better than the Gel Shocks. However, Gel Shocks are very good. But let's go over a few things that I wish they changed, and then I'll go into the great things that this glove does. There's not a whole lot other than I wish the wrist support was a little better than this, right? It's a very top heavy glove. A lot of Velcro gloves are guilty of doing this. Does it mean you're going to break your wrist immediately? No, not at all. If you wrap your hands fine, and if you understand when you put this on, right, it's strapped tight to your wrist, it's going to be difficult. But you notice how much it like dangles down. It puts me in a natural punch position, kind of. But if I like curve my wrist anymore, I'm in danger of hurting myself. It's very good to stabilize backwards, which is great, and side to side, but going forward, I tend to see more people hurt their wrist going in than back. If they do this, you know, their wrist is kind of built to, you know, do this because you can go and grab things, whereas this down here our wrists are not really designed to bend that way. It hurts, right? So that could be a factor for some people. As far as the wrist support goes, it's okay. I've never had an issue with it. It's never hurt me. But that's just one thing I noticed. The one thing I love about the glove, though, is going back and forth here, is that the thumb placement and the thumb everything here, besides it being kind of stiff, you can't parry, or it's not very good for Muay Thai or for MMA sparring. So if you're a boxer, these gloves would be more for you than they would like an MMA or Muay Thai guy. Is that the thumb is in one of the best positions ever. It's a very comfortable thumb, and I love the feeling of the thumb. It's in a very good area, but the wrist support could use a bit more. It's very, very big. It's a pretty good glove. It's like a run of the mill, like as far as it's like in length and width, it's pretty good, but it's big enough to protect the side of my head, and I consider it more of a defensive glove because of the size of it and because of kind of how rounded it is. But I'd also put it in like that pillow hybrid with a defensive glove category because of how soft the glove is too. It's very good for sparring. I've had zero complaints from my sparring partners. When you first get them out of the box, they are very stiff, but just work the bag maybe for 15-20 rounds over a few days, and then they'll break in just fine like every other glove will, and that's always a good sign with these. So you can use them for really whatever you want. They're a very good training glove. The one thing I will say is the inside of the hand compartment I wish had a bit more space, because some people, even with the gel padding on the inside, will want to wrap their hands with like knuckle guards and stuff. But I can tell you right now, there's really no need to have a knuckle guard when you have a gel type of glove, because that gel is supposed to support and cradle your hand basically, and your knuckles. So that's something that you want to look out for, is not to overwrap your hands, because I see a lot of people that get gloves like these. In fact, we go back to these because they're kind of similar. A lot of people from my gym bought these and they're like, man, my hands hurt, because they were using knuckle guards and all those things. You have too much in your glove, and your glove's not offering you enough room. Usually gloves that have shorter hand compartments or smaller hand compartments means that there's a bit more padding in the knuckles to support you. So that's the case with this. So if you just wrap your hands without the knuckle guard, you'll be fine. If you absolutely need a knuckle guard, I would recommend putting like a towel or something to stretch this inside out every damn day, basically, to keep the inside big. But other than that, no, you'll be fine. So that's maybe one complaint I would have, is that maybe it's a bit smaller on the inside. And the other complaint I'd have is that although it's not baggy per se, it's just so loose on the inside. I mean, look at this. I can stretch it way out. It's comfortable. It's very soft. There's a bunch of layers of foam on the inside of the hand compartment. It's very soft, very good, supportive for my hand. It's just annoying sometimes, and I mean annoying, when I have to put my hand on the inside. And right now I already got my fingers caught. I got to move my fingers around. I got my thumb in here. The thumb I don't have the same issue with, but my fingers here, I can feel like all the foam up at the top. It's like bumpy and stuff like that, and it's weird. And then I have to move my fingers all over the place to get to the grip bar, basically, because that interior lining is so loose and it's going all over the place that it's getting in my way constantly, and it drives me up the wall sometimes. That's really one of the first times I've ever complained about a baggy interior lining like that. But I mean, it's something you can get over once you get it in a good spot. But if you're one of those guys that like to parry a lot like me, trust me, your fingers are going to get caught in that lining like that, and it's going to annoy you. Maybe it's just my glove, I don't know, but that's just one thing that bothered me. But everything else that I like about the glove is that the quality is amazing. You know, it's a professionally made glove. It's not like the Ringside's. Ringside's like, this is good for someone that's starting out and that's in that intermediate line. I would give it to a pro for sure, but a pro would wear these out maybe within, 4 or 5 months, if not more. These I can see you lasting definitely for like 2 years or more, 2 or 3 years. They're definitely a high quality made glove. They're not like Ringside in that case. The leather is a lot more higher quality. Like I said, you can kind of pull it out and it smells like brand new quality shoes, and a couple other things that you can equate to leather, like belts or whatever. And then on top of it, the knuckle support's awesome. I've had these since March, I believe, or earlier. I can't remember entirely, but they still look new. Like I said, the metallic paint might wear off over a while. They haven't for me yet. It's just a little bit. You can see some flakings here or there. That will happen with some metallic paint gloves, but I tell you what, these I don't think it'll happen quite as much. They look awesome. They perform well. Now let's get down to price. The last thing is that they go for the gold colorway. They go for about $130. I believe it's $129 when I bought them, and they were on sale when I bought them. But that price, you could argue because of the materials that they're using, especially when you got that high quality leather compared to this. You know, obviously, and they probably make a lot more of these in bulk, and they sell a lot more because they're cheaper. But, you know, when you got something like this, you know, that for one, you know, also comes in this nice mesh bag, which I didn't comment on earlier, and all these other things. It's made a lot more better quality. It's gold. They have a silver model that I saw that's like for $109. I would be very comfortable to buy this at $100 every day of the week. I think that's a perfect price for these for someone that's getting into the higher end of the spectrum. But I think $100, I don't think people would have an issue with buying these because they're going to last you a long time. They're very durable. They're easy to clean. They don't smell at all after a while, which is good. So long as you clean them, like I said, they're very easy to maintain, which is always a good thing. But if I had to give them like a big rating, you know, there are other gloves I would for sure recommend over these. But if someone said, well, what about the Superares? I said, yeah, they're worth a shot. I think you should try them, you know, and there's always, you know, you can always return them if you don't like them, right? But I think Superare did a really good job with these. The one glove I want to try by them really bad is their Italian model, and I'm really excited to try those. That's going to be probably one of my next purchases because I've heard nothing but good things about those. But for now, you know, these, they're definitely their own glove. They are not entirely like a Ringside, like I was saying, but you can definitely see some of the similarities between this and that. This is definitely a much better glove than this. I can tell you that much because these go for about, I think, $50-$60. And like I said, these might last you if you take really good care of them, like a year, compared to these. I think will last you a very long time if you're using continued wash. Just take care of your equipment at the end of the day. They'll last longer. So I would give these a solid 7 out of 10 just because the hand compartment can bother me sometimes. The interior lining is infuriating sometimes, and I'm not trying to nitpick, but you know what? If I'm punching someone in the face and I'm getting hit in return, I'm going to want to not have to worry about that. And then I'd say the other part would be maybe as far as the wrist support goes. I wish the wrist support was a little bit better. I don't know if I mentioned that already. No, the hand compartment I said, then wrist support, and then the interior lining is annoying. But the wrist support is a little hit and miss every now and again. You know, I have good technique. I know how not to smash my wrist back, but you know, someone's going to buy these because they look cool, and then they're going to get hurt. So that's just all I'd be careful of. I recommend these for an intermediate level to a professional. I think you'd be happy with that, but if you're a beginner and you're just learning and you don't know how to like curve your wrist a certain way, I would be careful. That's all. I don't like that this is my wrist support as much. Some other Velcro gloves can pull it off a bit. It's not very, I wish there was a bit more balance. My thumb's supporting it now, but if I take my thumb away, it falls right over. So it's a very top heavy glove. If you don't like top heavy gloves, all that weight just kind of sagging towards the top, you might not like the glove. But for me, I think it's a pretty good glove. I would definitely recommend it to people. There are other gloves out there that I would prefer, but I tell you what, they look really cool and they operate really well, and Superare has the best customer service in the world, so they'll make something work for you. Trust me. All right, folks, with that said, I'm really excited to bring this review to you. If you have anything that you want to add to this video, put that in the comment section below. Also, reminder to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It helps the channel more than you understand, and I am glad to be back at it. Thanks again for all the support for my fight that I won this last weekend, and I will see you on the next episode. Have a great day.